And welcome. Let's talk about our graduate legal studies program tonight, and specifically the MSLS program, the Master of Science in Legal Studies program. We want to share some information tonight about our accelerated MSLS program. This is a great opportunity. An undergraduate student can move directly from the bachelor's degree programs to the Master's in Legal Studies program. As you work toward completing your bachelor's degree, make certain you discuss with your student success manager about the option to pursue a master's degree in legal studies at Purdue Global. Once you've successfully completed your bachelor's degree, you may apply to the master's degree program at Purdue Global. The accelerated bachelor's to master's program is intended for exceptional bachelor's degree students within the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences who are interested in continuing on to pursue their graduate degree at Purdue Global. Students can work toward completing bachelor's degrees while simultaneously completing graduate core courses, which will be needed in the master's program. And once students have successfully completed their bachelor's degree at PG, they may apply to the master's degree program at PG, and the graduate classes will transfer into the corresponding graduate program. Who is eligible for this? Well, if you are a person with a Bachelor of Science degree within the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences, you need to look at the accelerated MSLS program. Let's look at these core courses. There are 4 of these, and these are the foundational courses for the MSLS program. These are LS 500, Legal Methods and Process, LS 501, Ethics and the Professional, LS 502, Legal Research Analysis and Writing, and LS 503, Jurisprudence and Legal History. We'll look at some outcomes from each of these 4 courses briefly. With LS 500, then, you're looking to be able, by the end of the course, to differentiate local, state, and federal legal systems. If you live in one of the 50 states, you live under multiple legal systems. If you're in the United States, you live under federal law, but if you live in a state, you're also under state law. If you live in a county, you're under county law. And so this is very typical within the United States, but we need to be certain that we understand what level of law we are talking about. Also in this course, we'll talk about procedural and jurisdictional issues among the legal systems. Jurisdiction means the power to say what the law is. Juris meaning law, and then diction meaning to say. So jurisdiction means the power to say what the law is. And it's very important that a court, a tribunal, or whatever organization you're before, or whatever department you're before, that they have the appropriate authority to decide the case. This course also allows you to analyze ethical dilemmas associated with the American legal system. This is not always completely clear-cut as to what should be done, and often there's an analysis that needs to go into making a decision about what the appropriate action really is. And in this course, you'll look at cases, you'll look at examples where various stress points and difficulties have been involved in the ethical areas. Also in this course, you'd analyze the processes by which laws are created in the United States. So you have federal processes, you have state processes, and they're not all exactly the same. Also, you would assess the relationships of administrative agencies to other government bodies and the public at large. Congress cannot possibly do all of the lawmaking for the country. It's just not possible. So generally, they create administrative agencies, such as the Internal Revenue Service to collect taxes, such as the FAA to regulate air travel. And all sorts of these agencies exist in different areas. And so we need to look at how they sometimes are authorized to promote, or what they call promulgate, regulations. We'll talk about that in the course. And also, you need to be able at the end of this course to contribute to team goals, to work with other class members through active participation and collaboration. But this is an outstanding first course for a master's program. Then in LS 501, we have a very close focus on different dimensions of ethics, in ethics and the professional. So we will look at studies of normative ethics and morality. We'll look at normative ethical and moral principles. We'll take a look by analyzing how legal principles shape decisional matrices in which professionals operate. That is, how do professionals look at these different legal areas, draw from them to make sound professional decisions? And we'll look at some cases along this line where professionals have made some good decisions and some where they've made some terribly bad decisions. And so we'll be able to analyze those as the course goes on. Also, we'll look at examining ethical leadership and the requirements involved for a person to be an ethical leader. And what does it mean to be an ethical leader? We'll look at that as well. And we'll look at achieving goals through planning and prioritization. In LS 502, this is legal research, analysis, and writing. This is incredibly important because in the legal field, we are in the word business. We're in the writing business, really. This is not mathematics. This is not calculus, for example. That's not part of legal studies. That's a different field, a good field, but a different field. So in this course, we will look at primary and secondary sources of law. A primary source of law is something that is closer to being accurate as to what the law is. This would be a constitutional provision. This would be something from a U.S. Supreme Court case. It would involve testimony from someone who was actually there and saw the events unfold. Secondary sources are just what they sound like. These are accounts of events written by someone who was not there and did not see them exactly. And if you're writing a paper, for example, and you want to quote something that's primary law about the law of search and seizure, then if you're quoting the Constitution and its amendments, that is primary law. But if you're quoting an article that someone wrote about their understanding of what the law is, that does not have the authority level of primary law. Also, you'll get to produce legal writing containing legal research with proper citation. You'll be able to use Westlaw as a student and grow greatly in your research skills. You'll also write a case brief using a standard legal format. This will be explained in class and examples will be given. Then you'll be able to evaluate legal research by applying it to a given fact pattern. Is the research good? Is it faulty? Is it from primary sources? Is it all from secondary sources? These are things that will be looked at. And then you'll also in this class draft a legal memoranda, but instruction will be given as to how to do that. And in all ways, in all things, it's important to use language that is clear, concise, and organized anytime you're dealing with legal research and writing. Then in the LS 503 course, this is Jurisprudence and Legal History. This goes back to really the days before the foundation of the United States. And we're looking at the different legal systems that have impacted the development of this country. For example, you had French law down in Louisiana. Well, eventually, the United States bought Louisiana in the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. But many of those French legal traditions and important points are still in the law of Louisiana today. And there are other states that were primarily then influenced by the British legal system. Some of the states out west were influenced greatly by Spanish law that came up into this country via Mexico. And so it's not just one system that influenced those who populated this country early on, and we need to have an understanding of these different systems. We'll also assess moral and ethical principles of legal systems and philosophies on diverse populations and cultures. We'll be able to also critique just and unjust laws regarding legal systems and the push for reforms. Sometimes laws are passed that are just plain bad. They're unfair, they're discriminatory, and they need to be changed. Many of these have been changed, but there's still much work to do. We'll talk about that. We'll analyze the impact of legal processes in history and their impact on law and society. Processes have to do with how the law works, and sometimes it's well-intentioned, but the processes for it working are not necessarily good and need to be changed. We'll look at this too. We'll examine the idea of manifest destiny, secession and separation, and their public policy background. Also, we'll demonstrate an understanding of how one's perspective toward multiculturalism and diversity can impact greatly an organization. The MSLS program is not a stepping stone for law school, a JD, or an EJD degree. Our outcomes-oriented curriculum was designed and developed by professionals experienced in law policy and education. And this program is delivered to students without the high cost of law school or the pressure of having to take a bar exam. Students who are not interested in practicing law, but who want to develop a better understanding of the law as it affects their careers or other areas of interest are certainly those we would like to see in the MSLS program. The program in legal studies does not prepare students for the practice of law, and they're not eligible to sit for any state's bar examination based solely on their completion of this program. So that's important to keep in mind. Consider your goals, and we hope to see you in class in the MSLS program. Thank you.